Protesters respond to Crabbe's refusal to shut down Spearing by blockading the boat landing and rioting at Trout Lake on May 5th, 1989. Later in 1991, Judge Crabbe finally issued a temporary injunction against anti-Spearing disruptions, citing the racial animus of the protest and citing the civil rights era's legal precedents. Although Judge Crabbe affirmed the state's law enforcement plan to mix protesters with Spearing families at the landings and to not protect Spearers' vehicles at the landings. At Sand and Dam Lakes, 1991, police created a long path in the middle of a protest mob, making Indian families and the broad coalition of witnesses walk a gauntlet of shoving, spitting, slurs, and threats down to the landing, all of which the police did little to stop.
Look, it's the witness for nonviolence.
Green slime.
Incoming scud.
Incoming scum. Hang down your head, Tom Molson. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Molson.
My name is James Mincy. I reside in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was living there during these historic days. That there does not represent the bad old days, because it was the images of the bad old days that I saw on local TV in Madison that caused me to join the Witness for Nonviolence program. At the time, I was a community-based member of the National Chicano Student Organization, MECHA. And when I decided to join the efforts of the Witness for Nonviolence program, I asked the members if I could go there as a representative of that organization, and I did. Before I ever set foot on a boat landing, I traveled up north to Lac de Flambeau to participate. I can't remember the year, but it was on the 4th of July, their end of the season celebration organized by Waswagan. And as a part of that, there were a lot of positive activities, organizing activities, but also we were part of a large procession in the Manakwa 4th of July Day parade. And it was huge. It was so huge that the supporters were far in the back. And our procession was led off by drumming and singing, and we were so far in the back, but we could hear the catcalls and the negative comments and everything, type of stuff, but tamer stuff that you would hear on the boat landing. By the time that our part of the procession moved around, it was total silence, and someone in our part of the group started this rhythmic clap, and that's all you heard. The sheer magnitude and size of the effort, of the numbers that turned out to be a part of the procession actually wore those people down. I mean, they just could not keep up. Before Sand and Dam Lake, I had, let me just say, little did I know that I had joined this effort during the good days, when Waswagan was strong, when the Witness for Nonviolence program was strong. They had developed tactics based on what was asked of them, of the tribe. They had developed tactics based on their experiences, and so they were very strong. Over the years, as I gained experience, and this was, I think, the third year I was up there, but over the years, I was asked to do different maneuvers. I mean, we had developed tactical flexibility where we had the numbers would send people to cover different lakes at the same time, or we would move people from lake to lake depending on what the needs were, and on numerous occasions I was asked to lead or co-lead those efforts. And on that night, it was like we had reached a peak. That year it had gone up earlier than I normally did, which was normally typically on a Friday night. Go up there, hit the boat landings, go back at Saturday night, and head on back down to Madison on Sunday. This year, I had enough time to go up earlier. By the time, and what I witnessed there was the numbers of people, protesters actually out on the boat landings was significantly declining. On the Saturday that Saturday, I was tired. I was dead tired, and I wasn't even going out as a witness. I was going out as a tourist. And I was heading to the Flambeau for what I thought would be a celebration, like a victory powwow on the boat landings there. But at the last minute, I was asked to lead a small group of people, I think the number was 13, over to Sanidam Lakes, where all the protesters were. It was for SCA and PAR. They had, like earlier in the day, had sort of a PR vote at Torfy Park in downtown Managua, a hand show who wants to keep going on. From there, they were headed over to a picnic. A picnic, which I would characterize probably was as a cocktail party, but it was in honor of a local youth who was killed in Desert Storm. You know, it was just a combination of things that were going on at night that made things a little bit more worse. And again, the year before, it seemed the antipathy towards the people exercising their treaty rights had declined. It was just that they were getting into this thing, and they were targeting the witness programs. We were spies, outsiders. You know, they were making these efforts were going on. So anyway, I was asked to lead this small number of people out there, and we finally did get out there. And the reason why we were sent out there, didn't know it at the time, but the reason why we were sent out there because a family was headed out there. And all our people were over at Turbo Flambeau. So when we got there, it is a long road bordered by trees. Parking on the side of the road, catch as catch can. And as we were parking, we witnessed some young men stuffing beer cans in their jackets, heading to the protest. They were loud; we could hear them all the way down the road. And we wanted to look out for this family because, let's say, they were headed out there before we got there. As we approached Sanidam, this road just keeps going, but the lakes are down below, and then there's a slope, a grassy area that leads to the lakes. And it divides the lakes. That's why Sanidam Lake. And the boat landing was on the right. Glyphic, and the area was fenced in, sort of like a long shape area that was fenced in for the protesters and the witnesses and whoever. So that's where we were. We finally got there, and we were located sort of up on the top of the area outside of the fence, so as to keep away from them, so as to look for the family. But we noticed that there were two women who were supporting tribal members inside the fence and alongside the fence, so we kept our eyes on them. The next biggest thing that happened was one of the protesters came over to one of the local sheriffs and said, "Hey, Dewey, you're not here to protect those tree huggers, are you?" Ho. He walks away. The local law enforcement officer starts chuckling and walks away. Okay. So what the logistics there were, the boat landing was there, Glyphic was on the other side of the fence with the boats, and DNR wardens would escort the boats out. And so the next biggest thing was the boats headed out. And what they would do was circle out underneath the bridge, cross over to the other lakes and go off to where they're going. But that's the moment of truth where people started rushing the bridge and throwing stuff, at them and so forth and so on. And there was a law enforcement presence on the bridge. All right. After that, the next biggest thing was Art Koza, who is, but he rushed down there because he had heard that this family was going out there. Briefed him on what was happening, told him I hadn't seen the family, and told him that there was these two women down there, and he went down there immediately. The next biggest thing happened was the protesters who were up on the hill looking down towards the boat landing. Art was facing them. The women were looking towards the lake out where the boats left from. And they started on, and one scraggly figure went down with the American flag on a pole and started jabbing at his face with that. Pretty close. All right, all that's going on, and then the family arrives. A guy named Wildcat Peterson with her early teen daughter and young son. Moment of truth. We're witnesses, we don't tell people what to do. We're there to support what they want to do. So I asked her, you want to stay up here with us? Or do you want to go down there? And let them know. And of course, it was a no-brainer. They wanted to go down there where, the people, where the people were. So I asked one of my key guys and another person to escort them down there. As they were going down there, the protesters were focused down at the boat landing at Art and the two women, turning their attention to them. Some of the group broke off and rushed at them, and at that point, the rest of my group went down in support. At that point, I had to slow up because I was sort of separating from my group. And as I was approaching them, and there were 4 officers, that's who I'm looking at. I looked at them as I was going down, and they were smiling. They were smiling. These people getting ready to get overrun, tribal people. And in that process, they came towards us. And at that point, the others got through, and I was getting pushed over to the fence. And at one point, the weirdest thing was this guy, was right in my ear, fucking nigger in a deep, deep Southern accent. That was bizarre. But anyway, I had this microphone. It's very strong. It's to be used by someone who's hearing impaired. I just happened to have that from one of the people that was with me. And so I'm just pretty much saying what I just saw. That's it. During this whole process, everything's going on. The officers are standing at their attention, 4 of them, and nothing's going on. And then I felt a tap on my back, and that was our closer, once again, running to the rescue. And he pulled us out. And from that day on, we were down there with them, facing the protesters and taking a lot of abuse from them the whole night. Early on, down there was also a tactical trailer where the head of the law enforcement contingent there was, and he came out and said that if something had happened, he would respond. And so that's how it was. I mean, they were in fine form. Protesters were in fine form that night. They were somewhat creative, if that's the way you would like me to describe it. They went after us all for various reasons. They even had their choral group there that they had put the tune to their sort of racist chants and stuff. Involved kids were there with them at one point. Some little kid came up and asked why I was calling them racist. I hadn't talked to them or anything. And, the saddest thing for me was the little boy, they started yelling at him. And, you look over there and his mother is just wiping away the tears from his eyes because he couldn't take it. The daughter was doing good. And somewhere along the lines here, I was like, okay, folks, I got this really strong tape recorder. And, you people in the equal rights crowd up there, it has a tape in it. And it's just, actually recording everything we said. Now, I didn't say that. I just held it up. And it didn't slow them up at all. And that's where we were. But the beautiful thing was that things were just happening all around. Like our closer showing up because of what he had heard. I had heard tales afterwards that Sarah Backus would pull herself off of the boat landings and showed up at the TNL mini mart and heard that we were sitting over there and went over to Turtle Flambeau and said, hey, something's got to be done. Cliffwick wardens were on the phone, letting the people over Turtle Flambeau know what was happening there. And eventually, they came, flexed their tactical muscle, and moved a huge body of people over there. And